Wilder Show podcast. I'm Scott. That's Lauren.
Hello.
Hi, Lauren.
I'm sorry to throw you off there with so many hellos.
No, it's good. Hello, those many times. Back to you. And how are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm okay. After, Memorial Day, I want to quickly say, I hope we all paused to give Memorial Day the real honor that it is due. Not just so we can go to the beach and can do cookouts and over to the pool.
Lots of pools.
That's right. The last season, the opening day of the pool, or any of those things, but just for the real reason that we have the day. We have and can enjoy all those other days because of Memorial Day, what that commemorates. There wouldn't be a July 4th if there weren't Memorial Day.
That's true.
Or the things that we commemorate on Memorial Day anyway. Hope everyone took just a moment, paused the beach and the sun and the sand and the pool and the smoking and the barbecue and just gave it a moment's thought or more would be ideal. Anyway, welcome to the Wilder Show podcast. Instagram, you find us there. Wilder Show Pod, you'll search that and find it. We appreciate that. If you'd like to send us email, podcast@wildershow.com. The Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, every now and again on the TikTok. Wherever you get your podcasts, would you like, rate, follow, subscribe, and share? And we'll appreciate that. Somebody sent a note maybe on YouTube or one of those. Very interesting, the back and forths going on some of our platforms.
Back and forths between listeners?
Yeah, me and some who disagree, which is fine. And it's always couched in, this is for the algorithm, but it seems sort of like this is also for you, Scott, which I really appreciate. So it's really back and forth, very interesting. But somebody said, hey, Lauren, send me that, was it Icebreakers or something that we had done in a Go Times?
We did the personality. We did the test.
Maybe that was
test
it.
on whether you're an introvert or an extrovert.
Maybe it was that.
And I will tell you, because I have access to her outside of our email, my aunt wants to know why you are the only one who got to take the test about whether you were an introvert or an extrovert, and why didn't I get equal time?
You know what? Let me just say this. I was thinking the same thing as I was. I mean, you set it up. You brought it in.
That's what I told her.
You
I
said,
yeah, it was kind of my thing. I found it. I posed the questions.
And it seemed to me you were more interested in determining whether you were right about your prediction about me than revealing anything about yourself.
Well, I think because it's one of those things that I think is interesting when you've known a person for a really long time and you can sort of, it's not even so much that I knew the way you would answer the questions. I knew the way you should answer the questions. I knew the real answers for the questions. Oh, okay. Even if you didn't give me real answers for the questions. So that's what kind of made that fun for me. But anyway.
Well, it sounds like I was a little bit in trouble that I didn't do. Well, tell Aunt Mary, thanks for listening.
I smoothed it all over.
I didn't know she listened. That's great.
She listened because my cousin listens.
I got you.
Faithfully.
I got you.
That's her daughter.
I got you.
And so they were together.
I see.
And
I see. They said he won't ever give her a test.
It was kind of like that.
Yeah. Oh, are you serious?
No.
Oh my gosh.
No, like I said, I made it all good. And they're fans. They're your fans.
Yeah. All right. We have to go back to, it was so weird because after we stopped recording last time, before the podcast had dropped on Friday, a bunch of stuff happened. We had talked about NASCAR and how I wanted to watch racing over the weekend.
Yeah.
Katherine Legge, pronounced Legge, Legge, a Brit. Katherine Legge was going to attempt to be the only woman to do what's called the race day double.
Oh, yeah. She was going to go from one to another
we'll get
in
some
a
update.
jet or something, right?
Yeah, we'll update a little bit on that.
Okay.
But right after we did that, I think I sent you a note. And I said, Kyle Busch, R.I.P.
Yeah. 41 years old.
41 years old. Let me just say a couple of things about Kyle Busch. I know racing's not for everybody. I know racing's not for you. But Kyle Busch, 22 seasons as a racer. Think about that for a second. As a 41-year-old.
Does that equal 22 years, or
yes.
is there more than one season?
No.
Okay.
22 seasons.
It's a long time.
He started racing, he was like 14 years old, dirt track.
Uh-huh.
Moved up, truck series, other series. I mean, he was the winningest racer in NASCAR history across the 3 different NASCAR series. There was a threat against the president's daughter, Ivanka Trump.
Really?
Which we'll talk a little bit about. There was a shooting at the White House.
Did know about that.
You and I have been exactly where that shooting took place. This is the second most memorable thing that has ever happened at the Northwest Gate of the White House. So we'll say a word.
Depending on who you are, that could absolutely be true.
It is the second scariest thing that has ever happened at the Northwest Gate.
It's pretty funny. Of
the White House. So we'll talk a little bit about that. A supposed peace deal or a memorandum of understanding, actually. It's sort of like a promise to give a promise ring. It's not really an engagement, it's not really a marriage, not really a promise ring. It's sort of,
It's not even we're dating exclusively
if both of us live to be 65, you think by then we should get married, that sort of thing.
The backup plan?
Yeah. So bunch to talk about there. The president came out yesterday on Memorial Day. Craziest, wackiest. Can the bar go any lower? A set of social media posts on truth. I mean, it's just, honestly, all I would have to do is read it to you. I wouldn't have to I don't have to repeat anything I've said before. I think he's not well. I'm not sure he's going to, whatever. Who knows what the future is going to hold in this term, but I don't think he's well. Something is off. He's not right. All I would have to do is read. I think it was his second Truth Media post yesterday. Just read it. Just read it without comment. And honestly, if you're a thinking, objective person, you would come to the proper conclusion. I don't know if I'll do that or not because it's so flippin' long, but I might. And then the Indianapolis 500. I know we talked about my whole race thing. Indianapolis 500. It was the closest in 110 runnings of the Indianapolis 500.
Wow.
It was 18 one-thousandths of a second.
So was it that exciting the whole time? Was it like
for me it was
really close? The whole
yeah. For me it was. I mean, I had somebody that I don't really care about the international thing. When it's NASCAR, I'm a Ford guy, and Ford is not a player in the Indy. It's going to be either Honda or it's going to be Chevy, and so Ford's not even a player. But I'm also not as tied to America. I like Helio Castroneves. It could have been his a record fifth Indianapolis 500. Never been done before. That wasn't going to happen. There were others that I was for. A local guy from Indiana that everybody there was for. Has no ride. He has no team. He was brought in for only one race this year, and it was the Indianapolis 500. I was sort of hoping he would win. Real underdog because, and he came in like 8th or something. I was hoping he might win because he'd then get a ride.
Yeah. But
again, I won't watch probably IndyCar for the rest of the year. But for me, it's a big deal. It's a big race day. It really was 9 o'clock in the morning till, 10:15 at night.
Wow.
It was a rain delay and all kinds of stuff in the latter game. Let me go and say a word about Katherine Legge real quick. She didn't make it for all 500 miles of the Indianapolis 500.
What happened?
She was in the very first wreck, and I think that was on lap 8.
Ooh, I don't know very much, but I even know that doesn't sound like.
Yeah, it wasn't. Far. I mean, technically, it wasn't her fault, but I mean, she didn't cause it. I've got to tell you, I thought that she would have more. I thought there'd be more juice for her. There'd be more talk about the girl doing this and the girl. And I loved the fact that guess who her sponsor was on her car?
I don't know.
What's popular makeup for girls? I hate to say makeup for girls, but I guess you have to these days.
Is it a store? Is it Ulta or Sephora, like a place where you buy makeup?
No, it's a brand of makeup.
A brand of makeup. Elf?
Yes.
Okay.
Elf was her sponsor. Anyway, so she got knocked out rather early, so that was over, that dream of doing the whole thing. And then she got on a jet helicopter and then made her way to Charlotte. But they didn't even make a big deal of her, traveling and doing it. I mean,
Well, I like that. I mean, I kind of like not
not
being
making it out?
singled out.
Yeah, I
she's
guess.
just doing what the
boys
she's
do.
doing what the boys would do.
Yeah, I guess. But last year when that was done by a boy, it was a big deal. I was like, hey, look, he's going to do this, and he's going to attempt to do this, and what are you going to do, and when are you going to eat, and blah 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 blah. I don't want to do it because she's a woman, but I'm not against it being being
don't you
highlighted.
think you are a little bit though?
No.
Wouldn't you have been kind of disappointed if they'd kept coming back to her like, what do you like? Especially if they made a big deal out of it for a guy last year. Wouldn't you kind of feel like this is not that big a deal? It's already been done. Why are we paying so much attention to this? It's just because she's a girl.
No. First of all, it is not always done. It was attempted the last 2 years by the same racer, and it was a guy. And last year he really had a chance to win one of those, or in theory, both of those. So maybe it was given on his race worthiness. But no, I would say, honestly, I got to tell you, watching it by myself, I was thinking, hey, where's the Katherine Legge stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't interview her after she came out of the medics thing as she was on her way to the helicopter. I would have expected, just for the good of the sport, I would have thought, hey, this would be cool, sort of gin up the sport.
Yeah. She's
doing this, and it's big, and we're all one big morning family, and then a happy family on Sunday. A huge thing for Kyle Busch, even at Indy 500. Mm-hmm. For him, the race family and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, it was not, and then she came in, I think she came in last at the Coca-Cola 600.
That's a bummer.
11 or 12 or more laps behind. When the race was over, she was down like 12 laps.
Not a good day.
But you know what? But you know what? She doesn't do it all the time, and really, must I be the only feminist in this house? But I was cheering her on to do something good, to do something good. But she hardly ever does NASCAR. So every now and then she'll kind of parachute in and do something. And that's my little race update from the weekend. I sent you a note on Friday afternoon when we knew that President Trump was not going to attend Don Jr.'s wedding celebration.
You did.
Now, what got my attention was not that he was not attending his son's wedding celebration. Mm-hmm. What got my attention was not only was he not doing that, but he would not be playing golf this weekend. Mm. That got my attention.
That was a bigger red flag?
Yes. He's not going to go to Don Jr.'s wedding? Okay. Probably nothing's up, for whatever reason, not going to go.
You don't think that'd be weird?
Well, in the inside baseball is he was more a fan of Guilfoyle, and he wanted Guilfoyle to be wife number 2, and
so
also the
boycott a wedding because it's not the girl that he would choose.
I think his favorite granddaughter, Kai, the golfer, has.
Why do you think she's the favorite?
Oh yeah, believe me, she's the favorite.
You think?
Yes, she's a big golfer. She's a golfer, so she golfs with granddad and all that kind of stuff.
Golf scholarship, I think, right?
Yeah, she's in Miami. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, she also, I think, was not going to her dad's wedding.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think maybe, but that wasn't what got my attention. The wedding thing. It was the golf thing. Mm-hmm. And I sent you a note. It's one thing if you didn't go to his son's wedding, but golf?
It's a bigger deal.
I think it's a big weekend. I think something's going on this weekend. And it turns out there was something going on this weekend, this last weekend. So let's go through some of this. Because we talked about this last weekend, might have been something. With the markets being closed, and he could go do something on Friday afternoon and then have it maybe wrapped up by, Monday afternoon or certainly by this morning, by Tuesday morning. So I was watching the news quite a bit, and I saw the thing about the wedding, saw the thing about the golf, saw the thing about he's going to stay in the White House for the weekend. I thought, that's weird. That would make it like a seven-day work week.
Who does that?
So I thought something's going to happen. Well, early on Saturday, the president put out a note saying that he had talked to all these people. I say people, the other Middle Eastern leaders, right? And he had talked to all of them about what we should do and all this kind of stuff, and going to cut a deal with Iran. It's going to be the deal, the likes of which no one's ever seen before.
Of course.
It's going to result in, you will get the uranium back. The Strait of Hormuz will be opened. It'll be free passage. All of this stuff will be done. And so I talked to all of these leaders. So I read the whole thing, and there was one leader involved in all this that I thought was conspicuous by his absence. Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh.
Our greatest ally, our partner in this. So the president came out with all of that. Shortly after that, there was a news story that said, yeah, Israel's not too happy about the president suggesting that we're going to get peace here. I said out loud, time for an event. It's time for an event.
Yeah.
Something is going to happen today. Hours later, not that many hours later, there was a shooting outside the White House.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's tied to any, it was just remarkable coincidence that would happen at that time. Let me pause there and just on a lighter note, you and I have been right there where it happened.
Mm-hmm.
17th Street Northwest and Pennsylvania Avenue. If you look at a map, you'll see the White House grounds. You'll see the old executive office building. I think they call it now the Eisenhower Old Executive Office Building. EOEB, something like that. The Eisenhower Old Executive Office Building. Anyway, that's right there at the corner of 17th Street Northwest and Pennsylvania. Right next door to it is the White House.
Yeah.
Right there at that northwest corner is the Secret Service one of the checkpoints there.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have been there.
We have.
When we've been to the White House. You have to go there, you give all your cell phones and everything, and you're on a list, and they check and make sure you're really you.
You've already been through all of the pre-visit paperwork,
Mm-hmm.
already sent your social security number and all of that.
They've checked you out and make sure that, for the most part, you're okay to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been right there. That's where it took place.
Yeah.
That's where this guy was, who came up with a handgun, took it out of a bag, and fired the handgun several times, and then was fired upon by those, like the guys we encountered when we handed our stuff to.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys just drew their service weapons and took care of business. A bystander was shot. Not sure whether that was friendly fire or from the person or not.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. This guy's going to go do this at the White House. He had a revolver, which means he had 6 rounds and no other weapon.
So you think that means he wasn't really a serious
He was a crazy
threat?
guy. Guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
And apparently he was known by the Secret Service. They knew of him before. So just another really weird thing. And isn't it amazing how quickly it sort of disappeared from the news?
it did.
I mean, all of a sudden we're off to other things. Kind of odd. A shooting at the White House. Julie Sirkin for NBC was there. And others too. I saw the ABC. I saw the CNN, maybe somebody else. But Julie Sirkin was there. And she's like, what is that? Turns to the cameraman. What is that? And it's the sound of 20 to 30 gunshots. And it's kind of become a meme. She, to her credit, she sort of embraced it and said, I'll take one for the team.
Yeah.
It was kind of scary and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so they were right there after you come into that northwest entrance to the Secret Service entrance toward the White House. You walk up a road, and to your right is where all those reporters are.
Right.
All those reporters, when you see the White House in the background, the White House is to your left. There's a road you're walking up, and all the reporters are to your right. So their camera angle is getting the White House.
All sort of side by side.
Yeah, they are.
You don't see them in each other's shots,
right.
obviously.
That's
you
right.
think they're all alone standing right there with the White House behind them. But there's, like you said, that whole long line.
But they call that Pebble Beach. It used to be all just gravel. Pebble Beach. So that's where the reporters are. Anyway, the shooting takes place. Secret Service screams to the White House press briefing room, and all the cameramen and the helpers and all the reporters scramble. And scary.
It is scary. I wonder about that. We're very quick to look at her as she's hearing those sounds. And I guess, in the context of where she is, wouldn't that be the first thing you would go to? You would think, well, it would be obvious that is gunfire. But I do think, we've talked about this before on the Nextdoor app, or if you've got the Ring camera, app where people can make comments about things that are happening in the neighborhood. Every day there's somebody will say, was that gunshots?
Right.
At the corner of whatever and whatever. Was that gunshots? Was that gunshots? And honestly, I don't know if I've ever even really heard gunshots. I've heard
Really?
noises that sounded like they might
Yeah.
be gunshots, but then
Yeah.
I've also heard an engine.
Mhm,
Is it a
backfire.
backfire
Yeah.
or a misfire or something like that? A transformer
Blowing up.
blew
Yeah.
once,
Yeah.
and I think that sounded kind of like I guess I've heard
Yeah.
gunshots, but when we've been out like shooting skeet or something like that, if it's an actual gun
Sure.
that's shooting,
No,
then
yeah,
I
I got
know.
it.
But those weird noises that you hear and you think, I don't
No,
know,
yeah.
are we all just super sensitized?
No, I think
that
if
now?
you know what it sounds like, you know what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it often. Yeah, I've heard,
Yeah.
heard it for sure.
You live in a rough neighborhood.
I do a little
No,
bit.
you do. I'm
No,
kidding.
no, but I have heard it,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of surprised she hasn't heard it, but she didn't know what it was or was confused. I mean, you're in one of the most, in theory, one of the most secure places in the world,
Yeah.
although also one of the most threatened places in the world. So I don't know.
Well, she was
But
outside one
she
of
was,
the most
yeah,
secure
she was,
places.
yeah, she
too.
was. Yeah. Anyway, so the president was there, and the gunfire took place, and I don't think the president said anything about it. I mean, to my knowledge,
Just another day.
yeah, we just call it a Saturday round here. But one thing about the Memorial Day, just a little trivia about Memorial Day. We'll get to in a second. But the war, where are we right now? Like I said before, it's basically we're trying to figure out whether we want to agree that at some point in the future you'll accept my promise ring, and the promise ring then will lead to an engagement, and the engagement will lead to getting married. But many things can happen between this memorandum of understanding and peace. Where exactly are we? What is the president actually saying is the deal that he thinks he has cut? And what he said over the weekend was that it's to secure the uranium and to open up the Strait of Hormuz for free passage, among other things. And by the way, neither of those things is going to happen. There is no way they're going to agree to that. It's kicked the thing down the road. And that's part of why Israel says, what are you doing? These guys, if you don't have the threat of war, if you don't have the threat of aggression, why would they comply on anything about uranium? Why would the nuclear thing be something we would have any leverage on if we don't have the threat of force? That's what Israel's saying. I don't disagree with that. At the same time, I understand that most Americans want it over. I want it over.
More and more.
Iran confirmed progress on the temporary memorandum, but then they fiercely disputed basically everything President Trump said. Yeah, the characterizations of the deal's terms, yeah, no, none of that. Okay, Memorial Day trivia real quick, then we'll get to scatter sheet. Have you been to the Tomb of the Unknowns?
We didn't do that when we were in D.C., did we?
No.
I have not.
They call it they used to call it the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Right.
And that's how most people refer to it. I think they changed that to the Tomb of the Unknowns at some point, because there are not just soldiers that are commemorated there, but also those that died in a war like that are not commemorated there. I went there once, I guess as a kid. You go back in time and you think, man, I wish I could go back and do the things I did before, but have an appreciation that I have now that I didn't have back then.
Yeah.
You go to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. There's a whole thing there. You stand there quietly, watching, waiting there at Arlington National Cemetery for the Sentinels to march. It just makes me weepy thinking about it. The Sentinels there are drawn from the 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard. They have maintained an unbroken 24/7 vigil since 1937.
Wow.
24/7 since 1937. Less than 20% of the volunteers are selected. Fewer than 750 soldiers have earned the prestigious Tomb Guard identification badge since 1958. And just a couple of interesting things. The what they call the sacred vigil, when they march back and forth to guard it.
Yeah.
Guards take 21 steps, pause 21 seconds, facing east, pause 21 seconds, facing north, and take 21 steps back. 21 gun salute.
That's very cool.
That's the 21. The weather policy, they do have a weather policy. The vigil continues regardless of weather. That's the policy. You say, wait a minute, what about hurricanes? Yeah, regardless.
Always there.
What about blizzards? Yeah, always there. Changing of the guard, shifts change every 30 minutes from April 1st to September 30th, or every hour, October 1st to March 31st. So when it's cooler, they have longer time doing it. When the cemetery is closed to the public, the shift changes every 2 hours. But you can go there, and I've been there, and you can watch it when they change. It's amazing. The guards do not wear a rank on their uniforms. They are ranked officers, men and women, but they don't wear a rank so that they never outrank the unknown soldiers that they are guarding. Is that something?
I love that.
There are physical requirements. Sentinels are strictly matched by height and build for uniformity. Men must be between 5'10" and 6'4". Women must be between 5'8" and 6'2". Guess what?
What?
No waist size can be more than 30 inches.
Okay.
An average tour of duty at the Tomb of the Unknowns is 18 months, during which they work grueling 24-hour shifts. So they'll be on for 24 hours, but every 30 minutes or hour in the case of what we talked about. Women have been serving as tomb guards since 1994, have the very same physical and training requirements as the male soldiers. How long do they take to prepare their uniform and their equipment for their shift?
How long?
An average of 8 hours.
Wow.
Shining shoes, shining buttons, straightening collars. That's something.
Man, now I want to go.
And it really is. It really is very powerful. The initial training phase lasts 6 to 9 months, consists of strict uniform inspections and memorization of extensive historical facts. And the sentinels, as they're called, they live in quarters directly beneath the tomb area, where they study and maintain their uniforms when they aren't marching on the mat, as they call it. Anyway, I hope we all took a moment on Memorial Day to think about the real reason for that day. Oh, it is time for Scattershoot.
Let's go.
Wilder Show, Scattershoot. All right.
Hey, we didn't get to, last week we talked a little bit about Stephen Colbert wrapping things up, but we didn't actually get to talk about the very last show.
No, we didn't.
Because it happened like right after we recorded for Friday's drop. Did you watch it?
I didn't, but can I do something else real quick?
Sure.
Today is voting day in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And I meant to mention that in the previous, and I didn't. So if you haven't voted, and if you want to vote, go vote. We have a pretty big election going on right now. You have the president endorsing Ken Paxton and against John Cornyn. A lot of people think that's really problematic. That if Ken Paxton is the candidate, it's going to cost a lot more money to get him to beat Tallarico. But even if he beats Tallarico, they say you're stuck with him now for 6 years, and he's trouble. He's got baggage that has baggage that has baggage. And you don't want it. I'm not telling anybody how to vote. I'm not telling that's what I think. I think Republicans are going to lose the House in the fall, or could. Even with all the gerrymandering and redistricting, I think many Republicans would like to say, even if the House is lost, you don't want to lose the Senate too. So, they would say whoever is most likely to beat Tallarico, who is the stronger candidate to go against Tallarico? Many people believe that is not Ken Paxton. I'm not saying who is more ideologically sound, who is more MAGA, who does a president like better. I'm talking about who's more likely to beat Tallarico. Many people believe that is going to be the incumbent John Cornyn. Anyway, today's voting day, so get out and vote. Let your voice be heard. Blah, blah, blah.
Great reminder. I would consider myself sort of a fan of Colbert. I certainly didn't make an effort to watch the show every night. I could probably count on one hand the times that I watched an entire Late Show with Stephen Colbert in the 10 or 11 year, it was a 10-year run, I guess,
something
11,
like that,
I don't know. But I've enjoyed him when I've heard him talk. I've enjoyed the show when I've watched it, but I did make an effort to watch the last episode, and I didn't get through the whole thing. Even I was kind
Really?
of, I was underwhelmed.
I didn't watch that one. I watched a few minutes of the previous night, the next to the last night.
Yeah.
And I know that they made a big deal. We talked about it.
We did.
Made a big deal about the fact that who's going to be his last guest. I think I even guessed Paul McCartney, but then you said, and it was right. But Paul McCartney's going to be on SNL this weekend. It probably isn't Paul McCartney.
No,
and
Paul McCartney.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you guessed. I didn't remember that.
Yeah, it's in the
so Paul McCartney
podcast.
was on Saturday Night Live.
I know.
The weekend prior.
Right.
But yeah, okay. So I think what we talked about was that there had been, this long star-studded run up to the end. And the rumor was that he was trying to get Pope Leo,
right,
but that would never happen,
right.
And so I watched very little of the 10-month long goodbye tour for Stephen Colbert, but I did watch that last show. There was kind of there were a lot of famous people out in the audience making jokes about how they thought they were going to be the last guest, and who's going to be the last guest. And then they did a really silly thing with a pretend pope, a fake pope, and all you saw was his arm sticking out of a dressing room. And then it was Paul McCartney.
That's funny.
Then he did introduce Paul McCartney, and I thought, okay, well, maybe they're going to redeem this a little bit. The cool thing was, obviously, Stephen Colbert is in the Ed Sullivan Theater.
Right.
And that is where the Beatles
right.
made their American television debut on the Ed Sullivan. Well, it wasn't the Ed Sullivan Theater at the time,
right.
probably not. It was some other theater where the Ed Sullivan show was actually taped. But I did, and I wasn't looking for bad reviews the next day, but I did see one that said the last show was kind of a letdown. And one thing they mentioned. And you and I have talked about this too, that whole like 10 whole months of being celebrated and, put up on a pedestal for, taking one for the team and you're losing your gig and what a terrible thing and all the, bad, all of the terrible things. And the person who was talking about it being kind of a letdown said that when Stephen Colbert was interviewing Paul McCartney, he has obviously gotten so used to this last 10 months being more about him, being lauded and praised, and the people sitting down in the chair next to him, talking about what a great guy you are, and we're so proud of you, Stephen, and we'll miss you so much, Stephen. It said that when Paul McCartney dared to talk about the Beatles and their time there in the Ed Sullivan Theater, that Stephen Colbert kind of interrupted him to talk about himself.
It was
which I thought was kind of a funny thing to notice.
That's really interesting.
Too.
I watched the previous night. I just thought it was so poorly. Two things. I thought it was poorly produced. The previous night, they had all these people come on to ask him one question. So he was sitting in the guest seat, and he had different people coming in to ask him just one question. So somebody comes out. I mean, Robert De Niro comes out, and the question is, "What is the number I'm thinking of?" or something like that. And or somebody says, "What is your favorite color?" or "What is your favorite breakfast item?" or whatever questions that they wanted to ask him. But they all sort of bent back around something political, and it was silly. It was just like you lose any of that stuff, and it was so poorly chopped up.
They did make a comment about the night before the Colbert
in
questionnaire.
The review?
No, in the last show.
Okay.
So on Thursday night show, they mentioned that they had 21 minutes allotted for all of those guests asking him each, one question. And he said, we had 21 minutes allotted, and he nodded at a producer off stage and said, "And how long did we take?" And they said
48.
52 minutes
right,
or something.
Exactly. Had to edit it all down.
Grossly over.
Well, it was so chopped up. A good example, Robert De Niro comes out, and the question was something about what's your favorite number. Colbert says 3 or something. And he says, I thought it would have been 2,949,000. The number of files that we still don't have in the
So not even really funny.
No, it was not at all funny.
Yeah.
It's the kind of thing where people like that or like him are left on their own, De Niro, left on their own to come up with something they think is funny.
Yeah.
It was not funny. It wasn't interesting.
And nobody would dare to tell Robert De Niro that's
no, of
not
course
a good
not.
idea.
No, this is your time. Well, okay, if you want to just do that kind of stuff, but that doesn't make it entertaining, and it was not entertaining.
Yeah.
And I just thought, you've had 10 months to come up with something great for the end. And I think about Johnny Carson's last week.
Yeah.
And how every single thing was you could pull it out and go, that's the greatest. And then the next thing, that's the greatest. And the next thing, that's the greatest. Who was the first guest and the last guest? That kind of stuff. Yeah. Very big. We're not there anymore. We're in a totally different world.
Yeah.
But one thing, I don't know if you saw this, what he did the next night.
Oh, I read about
that
it.
was pretty
Didn't see it,
Did you
but
see
I
it?
did read about it.
Oh, it's funny. Just real quick. He went on some like public cable access show
in Michigan.
It was in Michigan. And he had like big guests on.
Jeff Daniels.
Yeah, they were all calling in or whatever. Of course, Michigan is also Jeff Daniels'
That's where
land.
he lives. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it was kind of a funny thing to do right after. One other thing, I thought this was really good. Sort of a decision that was made by him for the entirety of the last show.
Okay.
The band played licensed music. On that last episode, which precludes CBS from ever using it again unless they pay royalties.
It was a part of a joke. It was Linus and Lucy.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And the band started to play it. And they talked about how
can never be
you
used
wouldn't
again.
be trying to get CBS involved in a lawsuit just as you're about to be out, would you?
And the thing is, I think they could play it on the live, but they can never replay it. They can never replay it. They can repost it. They can't anything. Because on the re-airing of it, they would be charged for licensing fees for all of that music. But that was deliberate, to use music that was a problem.
Yeah. There was also some weird thing about a wormhole. I mean, it was just, I think I even texted you during it and said, I'm like halfway through it. Haven't laughed once. It went in a show that is supposed to be light and entertaining. You would think that they would work hard on some laughs for that last, go out with a bang.
But the thing is, they are so much like what they are criticized for that they can't resist it.
You mean taking itself kind of a little too seriously, maybe?
They've been criticized for being way too political, that they are not as funny as they used to be because they're so obsessed with the politics. And you look at the last week, or certainly the last two nights, and they were political, but they were not funny, which is to say that maybe it's right. Maybe your time is up.
What would you pay for a Diet Coke?
What size? What size? What size are you talking about?
A can.
Oh, a can of Diet Coke. I would pay
Diet Coke.
Ice cold.
An ice cold Diet Coke.
I would pay. It depends how thirsty I am, but I would probably pay. I prefer fountain, but I pay probably $1.50. Well,
there is such a big Diet Coke shortage in India right now. It's a huge, it's a crisis. Some venues are actually charging as much as $30 for access to a Diet Coke. No way. Yeah.
That's crazy.
They are. Have you ever heard a Diet Coke referred to as a refrigerator cigarette? That people who used to smoke, people who used to smoke cigarettes and put away, got rid of the cigarettes for health concerns. Right. Now they rely on those Diet Cokes.
Just another addiction.
Cokes. Yeah, just another addiction.
That's funny.
A refrigerator cigarette. Yeah. So the problem is in India, there's such a scarcity that they're having Diet Coke parties. Pubs and influencers organizing events that come with an entry fee that comes with access to Diet Coke. You can get T-shirts and stuff like that too. The problem is in India, Diet Coke only comes in cans, and there's an aluminum shortage. And part of this, the reason for that is the Iran war. Delayed shipments of aluminum are to blame for the problem of getting Diet Coke in cans.
So it's not the Diet Coke per se.
Yeah.
It's the cans that they come in.
Yeah. Most soft drinks in India are sold in plastic bottles and cans, but Diet Coke is only sold in cans. And the production of the cans and bottles also in India, though, has also become more expensive because of an energy shortage there. So add that to the fact that there is an aluminum crisis. It's really hard to get their Diet Coke there.
You know, I've been to India and just, you know, for what it's worth, my observation, they have bigger problems in India than a shortage of aluminum cans.
Or Diet Coke, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of challenges there. Hopefully soon the Diet Coke thing will be worked out.
Little bright spot to look forward to, maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Well, you know, it's really hard to be a woman. It's hard
I
to
hear
be.
you, sister.
The standards of beauty are so high, so much judgment. And now, if you're Mona Lisa and you lived in the she was painted by Leonardo da Vinci
That's correct.
in the early 1500s, okay? And that she's being judged for being overweight, and apparently she probably had some health problems too. They think she probably had high cholesterol and an underactive thyroid.
I thought that.
This is you've not. Dr. Michael Yaffe says that, just when you look at her, the expression on her face, and you look at the extra weight that she was carrying, she obviously had excessive body fat. She probably had a really high BMI, severe hypothyroidism, I already mentioned. He did say, you know, kindly, he said, can't really go back and make a diagnosis anymore. Yeah,
well,
but we can analyze her features. I mean, this poor woman has been dead for centuries, and they're talking about how what her BMI might have been.
And the other thing is, it is a painting.
It is a painting.
It's not a photograph,
right?
So maybe Leonardo liked his women a little more Rubenesque.
Maybe so.
Maybe he
maybe
painted
he made her a little bit heavier than she actually was.
I don't know. I just know that we don't know what she looked like.
Yeah.
We know what the painting depicts.
That's true.
But we don't know what she looked like. Maybe he liked, substantial women.
She had also had 4 children by this time.
Come on.
And, pregnancy can
change things.
Hang on to a little bit of weight after each one of those babies.
Could happen.
And in fairness, this guy also looked at portraits of composers Bach and Handel, and he said that they probably had type 2 diabetes.
Okay. Look, if you are living in, when was it, the
1500s?
The 1500s.
Yeah.
Nobody was smiling in the 1500s.
But we don't think that they were smiling because they were unhappy with their weight, right?
No, that's what I'm saying. All the things going on. 4 kids, might have a thyroid problem that's undiagnosed. My BMI is high.
Untreated type 2 diabetes.
Plus it's the 1500s. I mean, what is there to smile about?
The doctor also has some ideas about what future art might look like if generations, further down the line look at the portraits that are being painted now. He talks about rapid weight loss that so many people are experiencing right now. You can develop an aged or tired look if you have rapid fat loss in your cheeks or your temples or your under eye areas. So he
drawn,
says,
a little gaunt.
Yeah. So he believes, in future generations, they'll look back at the paintings of people now. Although are we painting portraits of people as often? I mean, weren't we painting portraits of people then because because we couldn't take a selfie? I mean, now, we had no pictures then. Now I have, 72,000 on my phone.
I agree with little Timmy Chalamet that people don't care anymore about ballet or opera or painting portraits.
Well, I guess if there are any paintings being painted now, they'll look at them in future generations, and experts will say something was going on.
Yeah.
They were losing weight really rapidly, and you can see that here in the hollow cheekbones and the under eye circles.
Someone will say, "Was that GLP-1 era?" Something was different, but honestly, different from back then. We had no photographs to know what she really looked like. All we know is the painting. Now it would be so unlikely to have a painting of anybody that you couldn't back up with a photo. So you're going to know what somebody really looks like.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Oldest siblings. You and I are both oldest siblings.
That is true.
And I actually had my son home over the weekend, my oldest sibling son.
Okay.
So I was reading this to him. This is a list of things that oldest siblings bring up most in therapy.
Oh, boy.
It's just a few things. It's not a very long list, but see how you feel about these. Struggles with perfectionism.
Yeah. Given.
Yeah, you
Sure.
think so?
Well, yeah, I think the need for something to be there's only one way to do it. It's the right way to do it. I think the problem is not just that we would impose that on ourselves, but then we sometimes impose that on other people.
Do you
how could you do it anyway if you don't do it the one and only way that is the right way?
Do you think that was kind of foisted upon you, though, by your parents?
No.
By their parenting style?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it just kind of came with being responsible for yourself and all your siblings. That, look, let's just get this done right. We don't have to do it twice.
And you think that was, you knew to be responsible for your younger siblings? Or was that, the reason I ask is because there is a lot of trial and error parenting when you're parenting that first child. New parents are learning how to raise their firstborn. They don't really, I mean, you, I don't know, maybe this is different because I know that you have 3 kids, but you had, 1 and then 2 together.
Correct.
So maybe, but your parenting style changes as you move through the stages of parenting with them. But I think that a lot of the people who report the struggles with perfectionism in therapy, they think that because that most oldest children have had to deal with extreme parenting styles,
like pressure maybe by their parents to be perfect.
Maybe they're maybe they're a little bit more strict, lots of rules and expectations that aren't on subsequent kids, so that the oldest child, thinks that they have to live up to all of those expectations for the rest of their lives.
Well, I think there's no doubt that for many firstborns, there were more rules on you. It eased as they went up. Now, maybe that's because the parents, if they wanted to err, they were going to err on the conservative side of being a little more protective. Or it could be they don't care about the third and the fourth as much as they cared about us, which is
They're just so tired out by all of those rules and expectations they had on the trying to make that first one perfect.
Which is what I tend to think. We were cared for and loved more. But I always felt like as a kid that, my parents have never had a 16-year-old. I've never been 16. If we play this right, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And it was fine. But I also knew that, and this will make sense to all firstborns, here's a scenario. What is it like to be a firstborn? The baby of the family leaves a soda can on the carpet. And the oldest knocks it over. And the parent says to the oldest, "Why didn't you look where you were going?" The oldest leaves a soda can on the carpet, and the youngest knocks it over. And the parent says, "Why did you leave that there?" So either way, you're on the hook.
Yeah.
I think that kind of thing, that responsibility, does maybe put a little pressure on you to make sure it's done right all the time. Maybe. But I never felt like I was do I really look like a product of anything close to perfection was expected?
It's a good question. What about feelings of imposter syndrome?
What does that mean?
Well, if you're really self-critical and you're not, we're building on that first one now.
Gotcha.
If you're really self-critical and you're always striving for more, it can be hard to feel like you're ever good enough. So imposter syndrome might be that you're in a job with a lot of responsibility, but you don't really feel like you belong there.
I think this will sound probably sick.
Yeah.
I think that's actually healthy. I mean, we had a radio show for 12 and a half years, and that I said every day, we got to earn the right to come back tomorrow. I never really felt like we were there. I felt like, it's always a struggle. We'll rest when we're dead.
I think it's
that
different
sort of thing.
Between a good work ethic, which you always have had, but not feeling like if they really, I'm not talented enough to be here. I'm not good enough to be here. I shouldn't really be here. And at some point they're going to figure it out, and I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose this gig, whatever it is.
I think there's a lot to that. I always feel like that's the way you get to keep doing something is by never really being satisfied that it's good enough.
Yeah.
Maybe it goes back to the first part of being perfectionist. How about you?
I don't think I've really struggled with imposter syndrome. I do feel like there was maybe a little bit of perfectionism. I do feel like I was held maybe to a little bit higher standard for of behavior. And now this, I have one sister, and we were both very well behaved, very compliant, very docile little girls. But I know that
When
as
you were
we got,
younger,
when
you were
we
more compliant. Is that what you're saying?
I'm still pretty compliant. It just depends on with whom I need to comply.
Yeah, I'll check with others. Go ahead.
Okay, do that. But I did feel like, when we were a little bit older, I did kind of feel like, yeah, my curfew was, I walked so she could run.
Yeah, well, that's part of it.
I had
but
a
honestly,
midnight curfew so she could stay out much later.
I swear that is the deal.
Yeah.
I mean, that is just what it means to be firstborn. It's like, we talked before about what does it mean to be a dad.
Yeah.
A dad as opposed to a mom. Moms are great and wonderful in a million ways. Dads could never compete with those things. But there are certain things that it means to be a dad. And sorry if you don't like it, guys. That is what it means. And that's just the way it is. And you can complain about it. You can hope the world's different. You can hope that all the rules will be. No, it really is what it is. There are demands on a dad that come with being a dad, and all the gritching and moaning about it doesn't change anything. It actually takes up your time and keeps you from doing what you got to do. So put your big boy pants on and go get it done.
I think that plays a little bit into another one of these things, which is jealousy toward younger siblings. I think I did have a little bit.
Really?
I did have a little bit of jealousy during those times, just because I felt like I had been held to not a higher standard, but just more rules, more yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
I didn't feel that. I never felt jealous of. I was always glad to be the oldest. I always felt like I want the harder thing.
Yeah.
This is something that is special. There's only one of us that is the first, and I am that one. Others can be best, but I am first.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked it. And so I didn't really complain about those things.
Yeah.
That was just sort of the way it was. And I knew that by the time, by the time my sister came along, I never went on a snow ski trip.
Yeah.
During spring break.
Yeah.
I mean, we were always working at the grocery store.
Well, I didn't.
And so
okay.
I never, those little things. But you know what? When she was the age that I was then, and I was older, I was actually an advocate for her to be able to do that.
Yeah.
It's even, hey, I'll pay some money for
nice.
her to do it if that would be fun, and not like woe is me. I never got to do fun things. I liked what I did. I liked working hard. I love it.
And so it took me a long time, I think, I think a lot of people heard me mention this probably several times. And I don't think my sister is listening right now, but it used to be a big, and I'm being very honest here, okay? My sister drove her own car for her driver's test.
That's a thing. Cars.
I didn't have a car that was like mine. I drove my mom's car for a long time, but I didn't have a car that was mine until my parents needed me more to pick up my younger sister
have a car.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And and now I see it. I had 3 kids, 2 boys and then a girl. Yeah. My daughter had a car that was hers to drive in college. My boys didn't have that.
Yeah, I know.
They didn't really. I think my second boy had a car when he was a senior in college, and it just so happened that we were done with a car and he was able to take it.
I know.
My oldest son didn't have a car until he could buy it himself when he graduated from college.
I know.
And things are just different. Things are different. They're different for each kid. They're different financially, in the family. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was, we talked about this before, when I turned 16, I'd saved my money, worked at Minyard food stores, mowing yards, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd save $1,500 cash. And my dad drove me over to this woman's house. I'd seen it in Auto Trader or someplace, maybe the newspaper in the old days.
Yeah.
Look at the want ads. And it was a 1971 Buick Skylark. And it was a 2-door. And it was the proverbial car that an older woman had only driven to and from church. And I bought it. And that was $1,500. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had one.
Yeah.
We weren't buying cars for kids.
Yeah.
It was good. It was kind of a beater, but it was good.
Yeah.
Got me around.
Got
back and
you
forth
where you
to work.
needed to go.
Yeah, it's good.
What about experiences with parentification?
What is that?
I never had this. When you're obviously the oldest child, but you're given adult responsibilities to help your parents, either if they worked a lot or worse, maybe if they were emotionally unavailable or physically unavailable, and you had more responsibilities for being like a, for
caregiver,
for co-parenting.
Yeah. Were you? You?
No,
Yeah.
no, never had that.
In my growing up, it was exactly the opposite. If I heard the phrase once, I heard it 1,000 times. Scott, you are not the third parent.
You wanted to experience parentification.
It's not that I wanted it. I even though I was young, I felt like I was ready.
Yeah.
I felt like
your parents didn't agree, I guess.
I felt like I could help.
Yeah.
I was just trying to help. But that's true. I mean, I heard that, Scott, you are not the third parent.
Yeah.
I do look back on that and think it's among the things I could have done differently. Mm-hmm. I could have been a little more softer on that stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe let the parents be the parents.
Obviously, and this is kind of hard because in a lot of cultures, you're supposed to help your parents.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Helping with those kinds of things is
right.
just sort of innate. That's what you do. But a lot of times children who are parentified grow into adults who aren't fully able to relax.
No.
They're always worried about other people. They have to feel like they feel like they have to be caretakers for all of their loved ones. This shows up in men and women, equally in men and women.
I think sometimes also the opposite of that could also be true. I mean, it's not my study, so I don't know.
Okay.
But I think someone who has too much of an adult-like childhood sometimes will have a very childlike adulthood.
Yeah.
That you didn't get all that out of your system back then, and so now you're kind of wild as an adult when you should have already been done with that.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of, so there was another thing that I was looking at to talk about today too. And maybe we can just mention it a little bit here. It was about being a firstborn daughter, not just the firstborn in the family,
Really?
but firstborn daughters.
Okay.
And there actually are things that can happen. Okay, this is a little bit complicated.
Okay.
Things that can happen in a woman during her first pregnancy. If she's carrying a girl, the stress in a woman's body for her first pregnancy. And it might just be the stress of being a first-time parent. It's not due to any like really crazy things that are happening in her life. It's just the stress you experience during a first pregnancy. And if she has a girl, it can cause that girl then to experience an early adrenal puberty that can make the older daughter more likely to sort of take on the role of not the role of the mom, but assume maybe a little bit more of, even if she's not being given that extra responsibility, a little bit more of like, mommy's little helper. You're going to you'll help with the other kids.
That's interesting.
And feel a little bit more responsible even. Now, that doesn't happen to boy. That is not a thing that they see in firstborn sons. And they said, it could just be because boys don't, if you've got a daughter, she is going to take on more. Even now, she's going to take on and be given more of the roles to help with, care of the younger siblings, especially if there are a lot of them. Boys aren't traditionally put in that role. But they say with firstborn daughters, there really can be a physiological reason why firstborn daughters are the way we are. There is one more topic that firstborn children, male and female, typically bring up in therapy, and it's trouble asking for help. They often feel like they can't rely on other people for help, or they feel like they have to have it all figured out.
Don't
on
express
their
their
own.
weakness.
Yes,
their vulnerability.
I do kind of have.
Yeah,
this.
I think that's probably true. I think there is something about that when you feel like that you're the firstborn, and it is sort of on your shoulders.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not going to ask anybody for, it's not that you don't believe other people are good or could help.
Yeah, it's not a problem with them.
Not at all.
I
think for the most part, it seems to me, it would be my desire to This is mine to do. I have to figure it out. I don't want to maybe even express a weakness that I need someone to help me, or that I could use someone to help me. Yeah, I think that probably is true. What do I owe you for this session?
Well, this is not the therapy, but this might suggest that we could use a little bit of therapy.
Okay, if you'll take the 9 o'clock, I'll take the 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Make sure you get out and vote today if you're the voting kind and if you have not voted. That is the Wilder Show podcast. Find us on Instagram, Wilder Show Pod, and you'll search and all that. We appreciate it. Like it, follow it. That helps. All the comments really help. 6 words or more. Thanks. If you want to send us email here, podcast@wildershow.com. The Wilder Show podcast drops Tuesdays and Fridays, 6 a.m. Central Time or before on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts, including you can find us there on the TikTok now and again. And again, wherever you get your podcasts, would you like, rate, follow, subscribe, share, comment? I think I have a good track record of returning your comments, to engaging you there, if you'd like to do that there. Otherwise, hey, just give it the thumbs up. We appreciate that. And Lauren, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Dun, dun, dun.